Dev gave this to me. I don't know why though. Whether he wants me to react to it or is it because he agrees with it, I can't hypothesize. But I do have like one question. Why is it that when you see a lefty comic, the protagonist is always evil looking? Like the person that's not supposed to be the protagonist actually looks normal, and the person that is the protagonist looks unhinged, almost comical in nature. Right, so we have this individual that says, anyway, I couldn't believe it when I saw that in the news. And the person says, that's because the article you read was false, and here is the evidence that is false. And the answer is, well, even so, the fact that I could believe it tells you something about the current state of affairs. To which the left-leaning individual, that doesn't really have like any arguments. He's got like this unhinged laugh. And the person goes like, oh, yeah, you are right. Sorry, I meant to say Rick and Morty reference, Rick and Morty slang. Gee whiz, what an interesting way of thinking. My take on it, that it's absolutely correct. I mean, if I were to tell another Romanian that on American mainstream news media that has an army of fact checker and they want to be taken seriously, you had a woman there that was saying that air conditioning is sexist, and everyone from within that place was taking her seriously. No one was ridiculing her. No one was mocking her. There was no one brought up to offer a different point of view. Every single Romanian would say, what are you talking about? That's crazy. Like, that couldn't have happened. Like, what? Like, they're the Americans. I mean, they went to a serious news organization, CNN, right? So my take on it is that it's absolutely correct. I mean, I want you to imagine that you have a time machine and you go back during the Bush era, and you tell the people there that they have found la cocaína in the White House. I mean, the first reaction would probably be that people are shocked. And the second thing, like, are you sure? Did that actually happen? I mean, we're in America. We arrest people for having pot. What do you mean, like, they found la cocaína in the White House? So, like, the first thing that people would do would be shocked by the news. Some of them may even try not to believe it. They'll be like, no, surely our elected officials are not doing la cocaína in the White House. But then they would ask, it's like, okay, so, like, who did it? And you'd be like, we don't know. Like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, aren't there cameras there? Like, aren't they using surveillance, like modern surveillance techniques? Yeah, but, like, they didn't manage to find the guy. It's like, what do you mean they didn't manage to find the guy? Like, if you go in the neighborhood and you have, like, a black person carrying pot, immediately the police finds him. But, like, they couldn't find the person that had la cocaína in the White House? No. No one would believe this, okay? Like, if you were to make this as a story during the Bush administration, which was, like, what? Less than 20 years ago? Am I give or take, right? People would, I don't think they would believe it even in Obama. If you go and you say, so did you hear about the tape from the Senate? They had boot sex in the Senate. The Democrats had boot sex in the Senate. It's like, no. I mean, like, maybe they did. Maybe they did, but, like, they wouldn't have filmed it. They wouldn't have filmed it. Like, no one is like... Also interesting how the media doesn't really bring it up. To me, it looks more like a blackmail photo, like a blackmail tape. The question is, like, how many other politicians have one? Like, think about it, right? If you're required to have that as a tape, and then you're required to perform in a certain way, the moment you don't perform in a certain way, the tape, it got linked to the press. Isn't it interesting? Right, but, like, this is not even the things that are some of the most bizarre. Like, if you were to tell a person, so did you know that the Americans managed to land a shuttle on a comet? It's like, whoa, that's impressive, right? So the guy that managed to accomplish this, I mean, he's probably getting the Nobel Prize, right? No, he was about to get fired because a journalist found his shirt to be sexist and ostracizing. And the journalist concluded in her infinite wisdom that Such a shirt is why women are being prevented from going to STEM. Like if I tell this story to a Romanian, which by the way happened, oh, look at me with dismay, with disbelief. They would be like, what? No. Surely you're mistaken. You must not have heard the story correct. Like that. Did you know that CNN, a professional news organization, authoritative source on YouTube, did you know that they invited a woman who was saying that air conditioning is sexist? And they were treating that seriously. They weren't making fun of what she was saying. They didn't invite someone else to disagree with her. No, like that was just... Did you know that one of the transgender influencers that Joe Biden invited to the White House decided to lift her shirt and flash boobies to the camera? Decency was on the ballot that day. If you say these stories now, most people are going to be, I mean, yeah, it's the Democrats, of course, right? I mean, that's a, but if you were to tell these stories 5 years ago, most people would be bewildered. And people are bewildered today, but outside of the United States, right? So this is what the person in the comic is trying to say. It's like the fact that I could even believe such a story shows that the current state of affairs is batshit crazy. Like, there are so many fucked up stories that are happening now to the point that, like, people are willing to believe almost anything. Like, at this level, you know, you had boot sex in the Senate. I mean, this opens the door to many other stories that if I were to hear, I wouldn't try to doubt. I'd be like, okay, well, I mean, if they did that, why wouldn't they do more? You know, why would there only be one tape? And why would only be boot sex and not more peculiar kinks? So, I you know, like the left-leaning person here laughing, I mean, maybe it's amusing and it's hilarious for him. For people that like to live in a world with decency, not just on the ballot, but like decency in real life, this is quite concerning. It's not something that is normal, because there are other nations around the world where their elected officials do not have boot sex in the Senate. And again, like many, the problem with this is that, to me, as a cynical Eastern European-minded person, looks a little bit like blackmail. Not a lot, just a little bit. Like, if I was to blackmail someone who's in a high position of office, and it's like, you know, before they get the position, they would be like, okay, well, if you want to get the position, you got to assume the position. And they videotape it, and then it's like, well, be very careful how you vote. Be very careful with what you say. Like, if you see something here, don't tell it to other people, because if you tell it to other people, we can show the tape. I'm not saying that this is what happened. But what I am saying is that, is it a possibility? Sure. I mean, this is how blackmail is done, right? Why else would they videotape something like that in the Senate? What other possible reason could there have been? I mean, I understand that people are lustful and, you know, Democrats are filled with love, but why would you videotape it? I mean, if you have to do it in that particular place, which, again, the Democrats, what did they call it? The most hollowed holes, right? The hollowed holes of democracy. Democracy is now like a spirit, a goddess, right? You need to respect democracy. I don't know if that is the way of respect. Maybe that's how the Democrats worship democracy. I don't know. It's very interesting. But still, right? Like, the fact that those stories happen, it opens the door for much other crazy stuff. Like, for instance, in Japan right now, apparently there are localizers, and the localizers, they tell the Japanese people to nerf the anime titty. And they have a reasoning for this. Like they justify it because certain Hollywood perverts, right? Hollywood liberal perverts like Harvey Weinstein, which can't help themselves in order to be law-abiding citizens, and they have to become criminals for some reason. But because those people exist, Japan has to censor the anime titty. So when you have like that logic, when people are thinking in such unpredictable ways, and when it's difficult to follow the train of thought from the station all the way to the destination, yeah, I mean, it is unfortunate that when you do show me a news article that's fake or ridiculous, I am likely to believe it. I wouldn't have believed it 10 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it 20 years ago, but I do believe it now because we live in the clown world. Maybe this is why this person is so amused. He is enjoying the clown world. We do live in clown world, but we're not allowed to laugh. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.